Hello, friends. The following episode contains subject matter that some listeners may find triggering around self-harm and teenage substance abuse. If you or someone you love is struggling, contact the Canadian Suicide Crisis Helpline at 988 or kidshelpphone.ca anytime, day or night. Internationally, please contact your local crisis assistance center. Welcome to Late in 88. I'm Bronwin Parks, here with my co-host Elinor Svoboda. This season, we're exploring our high school year of 1998 and the intense challenges of growing up queer and gender nonconforming in conservative Calgary, Alberta. This episode strikes at the heart of our high school when we were all confronted with our own mortality and how we each found our own path through the darkness. Strap in, we're exploring those deep, dark corners again. Come on, mate, we've got you. Welcome back, friends. It's so great to have you here in the basement. We're just chilling. I hope you brought your comfort food and your hydration, caffeine, fun beverage. Yeah. Gotta have all three. We did allude to it in an earlier episode, and now we're going to dive into it a bit more. During our high school year, a huge event happened that really... It galvanized our entire year in a way that was quite unexpected. And it was kind of a big deal, not just within our class, but also in the city.
Yeah, it's woven through this whole season for me because it was my best friend, Steve, who got cancer in grade 9 and then died in grade 11. He was the Canadian cancer child. The media was following his story because his form of cancer was so rare. He had a tumor on the inside of his eye. And so traditional treatment was, they did their best. He had 2 major surgeries. He had rounds of chemo and radiation. And after all that, they basically gave up on him. We had a whole year, I think between grade 10 and 11, where we did fundraising to help him get to a special clinic in Mexico to get alternative treatment. And he did end up going. I'm not sure how much that prolonged his life. In the end, he was with us until March of 1997. And that's when he passed away.
The whole school was involved, but you were really at the epicenter. That must have been really overwhelming. What was that like for you?
It was a full 2 years of having a friend who had cancer. And so it was trips to the hospital to visit him while in treatment. It was learning how to have a friend who wanted to come out and be a normal kid and couldn't partake all the way and how to support him. Our job as friends was to help him feel like a teenager and bring him out. Sometimes we'd shift our party vibes. Sometimes we'd shift our social activities so he could join. And he was a tough cookie too. I remember us all being at parties and it's like, yeah, he can't smell anything. He can't taste anything. He can't eat anything without throwing up, but he's there, It was kind of part of the ecosystem for us, group of friends, which is interesting in and of itself. It speaks to the adaptability of teenagers, that it was like, okay, well, we have this friend who is going through these really brutal treatments and let's have some fun. He was a very outgoing person. He loved to tease and rabble-rouse. As much as he could, he would get in there. And I do have a lot of memories of we'd be halfway through the night of a party and he'd come up to me and be like, can you take me home? I'm done. And sorry, that just brought some feels for me. Because I feel like there's a big story here, and I could tell you a lot about the public-facing part of it. Looking back through my journals and the photos from this vantage point, I'm more aware of my private struggle and the things I was shouldering that were a lot for someone my age. And on the flip side of that, I gained a lot from it. I had this really deep friendship and I learned how to really think outside myself and consider others in a way. But going through my journals, I just could see how much anxiety. I couldn't sleep at night. I had insomnia. I had really bad acne. Like the stress was, I still have some scars, from like acne scars. I know lots of us do from our teenage years, but I associate that. I think some of it was stress of trying to navigate and not really getting a lot of support, like not reaching out for support. But I also didn't have a family who were like, hey, maybe we should get you a therapist. I mean, that wasn't really a huge part of the culture back then. Or like, hey, how are you managing? So I found in one of my journals, I had written, mark this day, because it was the day that we found out that basically the doctors had given him 2 weeks to live. So prior to that, there was quite a period of time where, we were basically hoping for a miracle. He had been through this treatment in Mexico. For a 16-year-old, having these conversations about blood platelets and counts, things weren't getting better. And my journals are full of like just praying for a miracle. And there was concerns about him getting paralyzed because they found a tumor in his lower back. And it was just starting to snowball, the anxiety of I can feel something's coming, but I don't want to give up hope. Steve's mom came to our door and told my parents that the doctors had given him 2 weeks to live. So they told me. Then immediately, Kate, my friend, called me, and her and I got in the car, and we wrote a list of who was going to tell who. So, okay, I'm going to take this person, this person, this person. You take that person, this person, this person. Oh, I just remember those phone calls. I was the girl who we're throwing a party, get out my address book, flip, 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 dee, call every person. Hey, come to our party. Hey, come to our party. Like, I loved being on the phone. This was such a different experience of how am I going to say this? And what's my role? Like, am I comforting these people when I'm just like horrified? I don't have deep memories of those conversations. I know that in them, there was a lot of feeling together, supporting each other, but probably needing to somehow make it okay for people. We had that. We went to school the next day, told some more people. Even in the journal, it was like the next day I went to go see him. We talked about it. And at the core of this whole thing was this awesome friendship that became so mature. Even with his death, we all got together as a group and said goodbye. We all said our piece and he said his. And how many people get that opportunity to do it together and have this really profound experience? There's this mixed experience of like, whoa, this is real. In a way, that's what I was craving, was this meaning, this depth, this power, this spirituality that started waking up of like, this is my friend, he's going to die, but I know he's not going to be gone, and we're going to stay connected. And so there was this high around this really powerful awakening, but the overlay of the weight of it all. If I could have experienced his death and been in a bubble with my friends and had a safe home to go to and had time to grieve, it probably would have been shitty, but okay. I think the hard part was going back to school, being that person. Certain people not knowing what to say to me, so not talking to me. Other people suddenly wanting to be my best friend. Everywhere I went, people knew that I was at the center of this death. And it wasn't just one day, it kind of went on, right? And then moving into grade 12 after that, it was like, who fucking cares about any of this? It was everything I could do just to show up every day and do the work. But I was so out. Grade 12, I was already, because I'm like, what does any of this mean? I have a biology test. Who fucking cares? You know what I mean? Like, I was in such that depth of feeling and what's the meaning of my life? My best friend just died and I'm still alive. Why? Why am I alive? How am I going to make this count? That was my senior year, was why? Why am I here? On all levels. And that profound ambivalence towards the school system, towards Even support structures felt ineffectual. Like, it's like, fuck you. What do you know?
Don't patronize me.
Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, I'm sure actually probably going to see the school counselor probably would have helped. But there was too much. Leave me alone. Leave me be. And that was also how I coped in my house. We functioned at a very superficial level. We just went around the day-to-day, and every once in a while, like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are you okay yet?
Right.
You should talk to your sister. My sister, coincidentally, had lost her best friend from a drug overdose 2 years prior.
Oh, wow. She
actually probably was my biggest form of support, because she was like, okay, girl, let's talk about it. Like, let's go for a walk. I can see what you're doing. And like, I'm blessed that I did have a person, but day-to-day life in the house was pretty excruciating. It's just like, when can I get out of here? When can I move? When can I be done?
It's really fascinating that you say that, like, how everybody kind of comes out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Because I've had similar experiences both in my adult life and my like young adult life as well, where certain people are kind of like trauma vampires.
Yeah.
They're like attracted to it in the sense, for lack of a better term. It can be very frustrating. And I can understand how even with the best of intentions, it can be exhausting as the person receiving it. And it can seem very disingenuous too, as you're trying to like go through your own grief process and recovery to then have to like manage all these other people.
Social dynamics in high school are already fraught, right? And makes me think of the slowing down when you see an accident on the road or something.
100%.
And being a teenager, you want drama, you want to feel something. There was that aspect where I felt like people were just fascinated by that. And then also maybe like there's some social clout in being associated. What was weird about it is I would end up being in this position where I would have to find the right thing to say.
Yeah.
I would have to find a way to frame it so that people could be comfortable. And there was just a few folks that to this day I have a lot of love for, who were so willing to just be real with me.
Yeah.
And they weren't close friends. They were friends that I had, a couple of the jocks, who I knew and had known for a long time, who I had classes with. And a couple of them just sidled up to me, sat next to me every class, cracked some jokes, and that was it. Hey, how's it going? If I could tell them how much that meant to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting emotional again, because that is actually what got me through, was those people who were just like, I see you and you're a normal person, I'm a normal person, whatever that means. But that ability to just be present. Mm-hmm. And I think I learned a lot about that going into my adult life, of how to support others. We don't have to have the answers, right?
No, not at all.
I want to show these cute little artifacts, and then I'm going to ask you a question.
Let's do it. What do you got? More artifacts.
These are funny. These are Steve's posters. So these posters are all over the city.
Yeah.
April is Cancer Awareness Month.
Right.
He's posing with Shelley Swirsky, the news anchor.
Right.
And so in this one, he wrote, "To Ellie, when I first got cancer, lots of my friends stopped talking to me, and you remained close. For that, I'll never forget you, and I can't thank you enough. Love always, Steve Dietrich."
Aww.
But then it was funny because I had kept that, and then I had kept a second copy of the same poster, which, of course, I think after Steve had been all serious and loving, he had then took this one and defaced it.
Oh. I love it.
I felt like I wanted to bring this too, because this is his eulogy.
Oh, wow.
I gave the eulogy along with our common male friend. So Amanda and I and this male friend, we wrote it together.
Oh.
So the three of us wrote the eulogy together.
Wow.
Again, that was such a wild experience as a 17-year-old, We all dressed up and looked fancy, but there was like 400 or 500 people at his funeral.
Right. That's wild.
Being in front of all those people and representing our friends, and we tried to make it funny, and we really wanted to reflect the edginess of his personality and the playfulness, and yet be really sincere about what a warrior he was, So So you can even see it's a lot scratched up. We put Steve censored because we had made a version that was like really irreverent because we thought that was hilarious. I mean, I really and Steve is not the only close death I've had in my adult life. I do really subscribe to laughing at a funeral.
Yeah, me too. Agreed.
I'll just read a little bit. To witness an intensity akin to that of Steve's soul, look to the skies. Look to the comet that soars overhead, because there was a comet in the sky when he died.
Oh, wow.
Look to the comet that soars overhead, and you will come to understand the awesome power and the rare beauty of such a soul. Like wildfire, the strength of Steve's being spread to fill the hearts of anyone who came to know him.
Cool. Was that Charlie's comment?
Yeah. So I ask you not to shed tears of bitterness and defeat, but to shed tears of pride and joy over the life of a great man and an even greater friend.
Aw, that's so nice.
It's funny to read it because I remember how much I practiced it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
The last thing I'll show is the booklet from his funeral.
Oh.
They put at least the cover in our yearbook. We were looking at it. It's in our yearbook.
Yeah, they did a whole special segment in our grade 11 yearbook.
Yeah.
For him, which was really wonderful.
I'm curious if what you remember about that event, if it touched you or moved you, or if it was just something that was going on in the background.
It took over our whole school. My mother had breast cancer when I was really young. So even those of us who might be outliers or outsiders, is like, yeah, I don't think there was a single one of us that didn't participate in trying to help, you know?
Yeah.
Because we did go to junior high together. We had been along
For the ride.
For the ride, in a sense.
It was in the culture of our school.
It was part of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I always thought Steve was like a cool guy. I liked his attitude. I liked his, I thought he was cool. I always felt bad that this really awful thing was happening to this really cool guy.
Yeah.
When something like that happens to somebody so young, for our class, it really brought us into perspective. Oh, we are very much not immortal. Mm-hmm. So that whole live fast and leave a beautiful corpse, oh, no, thank you. Because I knew how serious it was. My mom had cancer. So obviously my mom survived, but I knew that this was no joke. As the details were coming out, at least the public details, I was like, oh, this is deathly serious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's different than a freak accident. You know, when it's a 2.5 year battle with cancer, it's a very different.
It's a very long goodbye.
That was part of the release when he did die. Mm-hmm. I remember feeling a lightness on my chest. That was such a, whoa, I wasn't expecting to feel that. Again, it was a learning about all the different ways that death can feel. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he had been in this place of struggling and losing a battle, at least for the year beforehand, you know. I think that's why it was such a spiritual experience for me, because when he passed, I knew he wasn't gone. Mm-hmm. And that was my first time really going, there's a lot more to this reality than I think I understand. Right. And I want to know more. He was going to see energy healers and alternative medicine practitioners. And so part of the support we got was this opening into other ways of thinking about things on a spiritual level that I grew up religious. So it was an awakening for me too. And I was hungry for it. My friends, a little bit. But I was like, give it to me. I want to know. I remember when he went to go see the energy healer, he came back and I was like, tell me every detail. What did he do? He's like, I don't know. I fell asleep. And I was like, I want to know what this guy does. And of course, in my 20s, I traveled India. I studied every traditional form of meditation practice. I was a hungry seeker. Mm-hmm. And now I'm, practicing spiritual teacher and practice daily meditation, and it's the cornerstone of how I kind of function. So that is the gift. That is how it changed my life. Was death a part of your experience at all outside of Steve?
I think a lot of us felt like we didn't have a lot of support for our really intense feelings. I don't know if that's a generational thing, our parents' generation. I don't know if they dealt with their feelings or if they didn't have the capacity to understand or the interest to talk to us about that, or they didn't even create a space that was safe enough to talk about those feelings. And so a lot of us were left to our own devices. And in some cases, some of us became quite nihilistic, dealing with chronic depression and a variety of potential mental illnesses or anxieties, and not having anybody to talk to about it. I think in a lot of cases, we would self-medicate with drugs and alcohol, which, as we know, can just exacerbate the issue. When you're in that spiral with people who are also suffering, it just amplifies everything. There were a couple friends that had attempted suicide at one point. I think it's very fortunate that they did not succeed. They went out to a park and they were prepared to end their own life. Luckily, they were dumb about it and didn't do a very good job. They just both ended themselves up in the hospital, eating charcoal for an evening and then getting in trouble with their parents. But that's the other thing too, is they attempted suicide and they got in trouble for attempting suicide. That's the wrong answer. That's a kid who needs help.
And how was that for you? Did they disclose to you? Did you just find out about it?
How did that? They disclosed because they weren't at school and then we all talked about it. So we tried to support each other through that. And I think they were a little embarrassed about it. It's not my story to tell. At the end of the day, I felt bad that I wasn't there for them. But I also know that from subsequently, after high school, I've had several friends who have actually taken their own lives. I also know that, as somebody who, I've just through my whole life suffered from chronic depression, they're not going to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about, oh, why didn't they call me? And it can be very challenging depending on, if there are any sort of coinciding mental health crises to stay in somebody's life if they are suffering. But sometimes you just got to be there even if they're not reaching out to you.
I have read that for teenagers, there is sort of that perspective of everything being at that life and death level, the way the brain is firing. Everything feels that intense. A breakup is a breakup, or whatever it might be. That humiliation is just that humiliation. Yeah. So it's interesting to talk about the fact that, okay, yeah, that's the level the brain's firing, but then there's also, for both of us, the actual literal experience of death in that time period. For me, it just speaks to the level of intensity of the time.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes being a teenager and watching shows about teens like 90210 and going, yeah, somehow it doesn't feel like that happy-go-lucky. Obviously there's drama. Nothing in the media felt like it was gritty and gnarly, we're fighting for our lives. And again, that's so dramatic, but at the same time, that's how it felt. I don't know if it felt like that to you, but it felt like that to me.
Everything is black and white. It's either all the best or all the worst. I think people underestimate what teenagers are actually dealing with.
Yeah.
On a daily basis. We were the last analog generation. So we didn't even have the pressures of social media. We were just dealing with the ecosystem that was our high school. And we still had death, suicide, embarrassment, humiliation, drug use, slut shaming, body shaming. We went through the 90s and the homophobia, heroin chic, the wave of the late 90s. And I think that it's important to really keep in mind that teenagers are indeed processing quite mature experiences with not fully formed frontal cortexes, and they definitely need the support. I'm hoping that kids today, I believe that they're getting more support, because I believe that teenagers today have parents who are our generation or a little bit older who are yes, we do therapy. So yes, you too will do therapy. Hopefully they're getting a little bit more support than we did back then, where we were left to our own devices. Give them a little bit of grace. So when they are out in public and they're blowing off steam, if they're not breaking things, they're not setting things on fire, they're just being loud and rowdy, let them be loud and rowdy.
And it's remembering the joy in that. Yeah. That feeling you rule the world, you've figured everything out while not knowing anything. even in all my anxiety and all those journals, somehow there's this level of certainty about the way the world works that I, at my wise age and stage of 45, do not have now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm almost jealous of that. But it's like a fuel. It's part of the fuck you. It's part of the me and my friends can conquer the world. Like step aside, hypocrites.
Yeah.
We know the truth.
Yeah.
And
you know nothing.
You know nothing. There's something too why people shake their heads and go, oh, teenagers.
Yeah.
And yet there's a lot of power there. And it was part of why I was so excited to do season 2. Because, there's a lot of dark feelings. There's a lot of intensity. There's shame. There's confusion, anxiety. And also there's a lot of potential and untapped potential still, I think, in my inner teen anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot, obviously our class went through like a huge event. And I think it really brought a lot into perspective for all of us. We all came out the other side different, one way or another. Thanks for joining us for this intense episode, folks. We hope that you too are able to look deep inside and think about all of these big feelings that maybe you're having too as a teenager, and maybe even today. And maybe give yourself a little grace, or give your teenage kid a little grace. Maybe give yourself a hug, give them a hug. We'll see you later, friends.
Thanks for being with us, everyone.
Thanks for coming over and hanging out. Be sure to subscribe and get the next episode directly in your feed. Follow us on your favorite social platforms at late.in.88. We cannot wait to hear your angsty teenage stories. Check out our website, latein88.com, for more resources on all the grungy topics we dig into this season. Late in 88 is created by Bronwin Parks and Elinor Svoboda. Edited by Elfire Media. Original music by Aaron Hutchinson. Additional production by Women in Media Network. Artwork by Feisty Creative. We would like to acknowledge the generous support from Alberta Foundation for the Arts.